This is an introduction to rigids in Carbon Cloth for Maya version 2. It is important to understand that in Carbon, a rigid body is split into a rigid, a shape, and a body. A rigid is a dynamic frame, a shape is a collision mesh, and a body connects the two. This makes it a lot more powerful than simple solutions like Bullet. For example, you can have a cloth, weld it to a rigid frame with no collision mesh associated with the rigid. So now let's walk through the basics of how to set up a Carbon rigid body. So here on the Carbon shelf, this is the rigid, this is the shape, and this is the body that connects the two. Here we have some Maya meshes, and all I need to do is select them, right click on the macro, and select rigid bodies. As I mentioned at the start of the video, a Carbon rigid body consists of three parts. A rigid node, which is a dynamic frame, a shape node, which is a collision hull, and a body node that connects them together. Now the key thing about the rigid node is that it determines the position in space of the rigid body. So if I move the rigid and reset the simulation, the shape follows. If we rotate the rigid and reset the simulation, the shape rotates to match. The key point about separating these elements is that they all contribute something different, and having them separate allows for very powerful setups. We'll be showing more exciting applications of this in future videos. Meanwhile, just to finish this basic introduction, let's drop these rigids onto the floor. So let's create a collider from this plane by selecting it and clicking on the collider icon on the Carbon shelf. Let's run the simulation. You can see here the sphere I rotated the rigid on is oscillating about the face that it's landed on because it's not a perfect surface, and so it's bouncing back and forth across that face. If we had a much higher resolution sphere like this, you can see now how it rolls because it's not trapped on a flat face. Thank you for watching.